Now I am here with Vivek Patel from Genesys. Vivek, can you tell us a little bit about Genesys?
So Genesys Cloud is the primary product that we're going to be focusing in on today. Genesys as a company primarily goes towards the contact center market, and we like to call that experience as a service, where we can use our technology, whether it's for our agents, admins, the end customers that are going to be using this, and try to use that technology to enhance their level of experience within the customer experience space.
I really like the term experience as a service. I think it's a great vision. It's very people-centric, and it really is a great opportunity for AI, a great opportunity for whoever's deploying the solution to get an idea of the plight of their customers. So speaking of the customers, Vivek, who is Genesys Cloud for?
Our product is geared towards SMBs. So if you are a smaller company, then this product can also work for you. But we've had enterprise level customers with thousands of seats that also come on board and are able to use the same exact technology stack that anyone else can go through and use and go through and deliver the customer experiences that they're looking for their end customers.
Thanks. So how does AI fit within Genesys Cloud?
Just maybe to call out a handful of areas where AI is prevalent. As we'll showcase here in the chatbot, AI is going to be prevalent there, whether you use our native chatbot or if you choose to bring your own technology or bot technology, such as a Amazon Lex or Google Dialogflow. Each one of those components has some level of AI built into it, whether it's fuzzy matching against something that someone is offering, or some of the other tools that we offer natively within the Genesys Cloud platform, which allow you to go through and take a look at what your customers are asking of your self-service strategy or your bot, and using that as a way to drive additional intents to identify white space in your current self-service strategy. As you can imagine, a customer, their needs this week are probably going to change maybe 4 weeks down the line or maybe next year. As part of that, you also have to be willing to go through and adjust your self-service strategy and have some level of way to drive that. And that's exactly where some of the AI components through intentminer come into play. There's other areas within our platform with our workforce management where we can take a look at, for example, a large scale of analytics data and use that as a way to, using several AI models, find out what the best potential agents are to schedule at specific scenarios based off of the types of customers you're calling in. And we can also do that from a routing and assignment standpoint as well. So imagine a specific type of customers calling in. Well, via AI, we can also go through and use what we call predictive routing to go through and target the most appropriate agent based off of historical data that we have to make sure that we're getting it over to the most appropriate agent for that type of interaction.
All right. Hey, can we take a look at the product?
One of the main benefits of introducing bot in a chat flow or any of these other channels of communication is that once you go through and create a single self-service strategy, excuse me, you can actually go through and implement that across all channels of communication. So for example, in this bot here, I can go through and ask what my account balance is. There's some other components around, hey, I want to go through and get a replacement debit card or credit card. Once you go through and have the configuration for that set up once, you can use that in your voice communication. You can use that in your SMS. You can use that in Facebook and Twitter. Realistically, pretty much every channel of communication that you want, you can go through and implement a bot strategy for. So it is a one-time development with multiple channels of communication that can funnel into this specific bot. Now, as part of this bot, obviously there's an understanding of what is the use cases here. And obviously this can change based on a customer by customer basis. In this case, we have a few handful of, self-strategy components. So say, for example, you can see here that there's some previous history because this is an asynchronous bot or web messenger, I should say. But I want to go through and say, hey, there is something else that I want to go through and communicate with this bot. Maybe what is my account balance? So I can say, what is my balance? Send that off. And what this bot is going to do is that it understands that, hey, there's still some clarification we need to make here because we have multiple, types of accounts. Which one do you want to go through and target? Maybe I'm concerned with how much is in my checking account. So I can go through, and you saw those buttons pop up there where I can go through and click on those for easy interaction with the bot. I'm not having to type anything out in order to communicate with it. I'm, easily given the answers that I need to go through and use. So it looks like, currently I have, 25,000 USD, and you know what, that's good for me right now. But I do have some other information I'm trying to drive out. So, I want to get a mini statement of my transactions at the moment. So what this is going to do is, again, we're using that bot to say, hey, there's maybe a data set or an integration with some service which is presenting this information. And in here, we can see that, hey, I can see the last three transactions here, one at a grocery store, one at the movie theater, streaming services. This is giving some level of information of maybe some of the past interactions that have happened. One of the other technologies that we provide within Genesys Cloud is something we call predictive engagement. What that allows us to do is, this is another place where AI is leveraged, where as you're navigating across your website, there's specific actions that you're going through and taking. So in the case of the banking website that we had there, if someone is navigating to your FAQ page after having landed at your checking page and trying to take a look at that information, maybe they're on that page for like 5 minutes, what predictive engagement is going to allow us to do is go through and automatically prompt a proactive web chat for the end member and customer. That way, we know that, hey, they're trying to get to a specific, answer, and we're going to try to help them get to said answer. And as part of that, you can have that same sort of, self-service workflow through a bot. But with something like predictive engagement, we also have the context of what they were trying to do, and maybe use that data as a way to direct someone towards a specific bot or towards a specific self-service strategy. As you can see here from the customer journey tab, what this is going to give me is some live interaction. I know someone is live on our website right now, or they're currently live on our website. Right now, there's not a lot of information here because we haven't gone through the process of going through on the checking page, on the FAQ page, and so on. But I'd actually be able to see exactly where they went on our website. So I, as an agent, once I go through and pick up, can see that information on the right-hand side, as well as a transcript of everything that's happened in the self-service workflow from there. Imagine like an SMB customer who's never implemented bots or has never approached the solution of how you would go through and even introduce a bot into their current workflows. What Knowledge Workbench allows you to do is introduce a basic question and answer repository. So imagine low-hanging fruit that you might have on your website. You already have FAQs set up, right? Someone asks a specific question. We want to give a specific answer. You can tie this knowledge base to that bot. So whenever someone calls in, whenever someone starts a web chat or so on, if they ask a specific question with specific keywords, we can give the answer automatically from the Knowledge Workbench. I guess there's this Arby's FAQ. I'm kind of curious about this one. I'm not sure why there's one around Arby's, but if you wanted to contact Arby's, looks like there's a very simple, question and answer of those. So very basic, question and answer. You can import this. You can test and train the different languages that we go through and provide. But there's also a feedback loop that's included as part of this as well. So imagine, a customer goes through and tries to say, hey, how can I contact Arby's as an example, but maybe the answer didn't work for them. The customer can actually provide feedback like, hey, this is not a good answer. And as a supervisor, bot developer, admin, whoever that persona is, they can go under the feedback and they'll actually be able to go through and see whatever that feedback is and go through and say, hey, we may want to go through and update our knowledge bench here, or knowledge workbench that we have, our knowledge base, and go through and use that. But as you go through and start implementing a self-service strategy, it's one of those, it's like a rolling snowball, so to speak. Once you go through and start using it, you'll find that, you do want to go through and implement even more of it because it's making your agents' lives a lot easier. So that's where intentminer comes into play. So intentminer is, what this will end up doing is tapping into both voice as well as chat transcripts and deriving some level of intents based off of what your end customers are trying to get to. This is where we're going to identify white space and what your self-service strategy is. So for example, maybe let's take a look at one of these. What we can do is that, hey, over a specific time frame for a specific media type and for maybe a specific queue that someone is calling or chatting into, we take a look at the transcripts, whether voice or chat. And what we can do is start seeing that, hey, there's people, calling in about bank account bills as an example, and here are the phrases that they were using. I can go through and start taking a look at those and say, hey, you know what? I want to introduce that in my self-service strategy. It's very clear that customers are asking about this, or they're saying it in this specific way. I want to make that easier for them to call in. So there's not that bot feedback where, there's that clarification phase, right? Where it's like, oh, is this what you're talking about? This can make sure that, this is introducing specific vernacular, specific phrases, and maybe specific intents and topics to have a better self-service strategy. And like I said, this is a constant feedback loop, right? What you see here may change in a few months. So you can actually go back in and rerun this and see what white space you have, go through and actually figure out which one of these you want to introduce, And you do have the ability to basically automatically add one of these into your self-service bots if you're using our native bot. So, just, maybe talking about the fact that we can take realistically any type of interaction within our platform and introduce some level of self-service, some level of bot technology, some level of AI to go through and enhance the experience for the end customer, regardless of if it's on voice, web chat, email, or for example, like SMS, Facebook, or Twitter.
Vivek, thank you for the information. Thank you for your time today. I appreciate what you had to share with us, your insight into the world of self-service.
Happy to share the information, and obviously feel free to reach out to us if there's any additional questions on anything that we've covered or the larger platform as a whole.